So what's going on guys, Kids here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best bow build in Albion Online. So I will show you what abilities and armor you want to get. Then I will explain every single skill and what is the best skill rotation that you want to use for both PvP and PvE. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. So no matter how much silver you have or how high or low your weapon levels are, you can easily use this build and follow this step-by-step guide. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the build, and for the weapon we are using the normal bow. All of the best builds in my opinion are either way medium to long range, because when you're by yourself or in a group, it's important to keep distance and always have the ability to run or catch the enemies at any moment. So that's why we are using a bow, and this way not only you can win 1v1s, but as well survive and escape enemy groups, or just overall do insane amount of damage in dungeons and against open world mobs. And of course, like most of my builds, this setup is amazing for PvP and PvE. And most importantly, all skills and gear can be used with low levels and even tier 4 equipment. So then moving over to the build, and for the weapon we want to go with the bow. So for your Q you pick the first option, then for your W you pick the second option. And then lastly for your passive you go with the second option. Then for the helmet you want to use the Hunter's Hood and pick the third ability and first passive. Then for chest armor go with the Mercenary's Jacket and pick the third ability and first passive. Then for shoes go with the Guardian Boots and choose the second ability and second passive. Then for your cape you pick the Tether cape, and then lastly for your consumables you want to go with the poison potions and dead water eels too. But then for alternatives specifically for PvE, so if you don't care about killing players or escaping / chasing them down, then for the bow I would go with the first W skill. And then as well, depending on what you want to do, you can change the Guardian Boots skills. So usually we want to use the second option for medium to close range fights and to receive some healing regen, so I usually use it mainly for PvE farming and some open world content. But then if you specifically want to do some group PvP or 1v1, then pick the third option, because this will make you huge and double your health for few seconds after activating the skill. So this way this will give us an extra defensive. As I've said in other videos, the best builds are versatile, so you can get 100% performance no matter in what type of event you are participating. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I will show you the best way to play this build. So for the first Q spell we have the multi-shot, which will shoot this cone of arrows dealing AoE damage and pushing the enemies back for few meters. This is great for damage and cancelling the enemy spells. Then our W is Frost Shot, which depending on what direction you will point it at, it will fire an arrow that will knock you back and do physical and slow damage to the enemy. And we can use the skill in two ways. So if he's right onto us and we need to escape him, then we can use it at him, and this will push him back for 13 meters and do damage and slow him. Or on the other hand, if we are chasing someone down, then we can use this shot by pointing it on the opposite direction, and this will push us closer to the enemy by those same 13 meters. So we basically have this double use. Then our E skill is Enchanted Quiver, which when we activate it, it will give us 50% attack speed and damage increase. But if you are too close to the enemy, then it will actually decrease our damage. So in the best case scenario, you want to keep the enemy always from the white circle. And then lastly, if we press the E skill again, in few seconds it will give us a quick dash, and we will receive 4 more arrows enchanted. So if we are quick, we can get even more damage increase. But usually the way it works that we just activate this skill and then just spam our auto attacks for the highest damage possible. Then our R skill is Bloodlust, which after activating will restore our health each time we damage the enemy. So it's great to combine our auto attacks from the E and then with the R skill. Then our D skill is called Retaliate, which when we activate it, it will reflect 85% of the enemy's damage. So for example, if he attacks you for 1000 damage, then you will get hit by only 150 damage, and he will basically hit himself for the rest 850 damage. Then our F skill is just a simple movement speed increase ability that will increase our speed by 80% and give us health regen for 5 seconds. And then finally we have the Eels too, which will increase our damage and cooldown reduction. Then our resistance potions will give us resistance, so we will use it when we are about to take a lot of damage. And then lastly we have the cabbage soup in our inventory, so we can use it if we ever get in trouble. And as well, our Tet4 cape will work in the background, that every few seconds we auto attack, it will do extra lightning damage. So with all of this said, now let's move over to the rotation. And PvE and PvP basically work the same way. So then for your rotation at the beginning of the fight, we want to use our Q skill and keep poking the enemy with auto attacks. Then if he starts coming closer and committing to the fight, then we use our E and R skills, one after another one. And then from here we keep spamming our auto attacks till the skill effects run out. And then from here again we use our W and F skills to catch or run away from the enemies. And then lastly we use our D skill when we will see that the enemy is about to or has just used his main damage abilities. So now let's see what we did in this rotation. But first, while activating the Q skill and using auto attacks, we already can start doing damage before the enemy has even come close to us. So then when he's in our normal range, then we can activate the E and R skills combined, so we get to increase our damage and attack speed, while at the same time for each hit we receive health back. So then we just spam auto attacks to get as much damage as possible, while our buffs are active. And then finally we use the rest of the skills defensively, depending on the fight. So then in my final conclusions, this bow build is amazing for both PvE and PvP. The way I made this build is that you will have the option to adjust one or another skill to better fit your playstyle. So like I previously said, if you don't want the extra 3% damage, then don't go with the Tet4 cape, but rather pick the undead cape or something else for that extra safety. Or on the other hand, you can even switch your W skill on the bow, or a higher single target or AoE based skill, so you can get the best damage, depending on if you're fighting just one or many enemies. Then as well, you need to keep in mind that as a bow player, you always want to have a distance between you and the enemy. And don't forget that even if you're running, you can still do auto attacks, because most of your damage will come from them. And as all bows have huge range, so as soon as you see the enemy on your screen, just start auto attacking him right away, and that's about it. So if you're looking for the best and most fun bow build, then here you go. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good Albion online builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable the notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in my next video, so take it easy, peace.